Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on when you're seeing this broadcast. My name is Ogujuba Chinoye Christiana Izundo. I am a writer, a teenage coach, a public speaker, and an entrepreneur. I want to welcome you to my video section. It's been a while I did my last video. I It came to my notice that a lot of my friends, my followers have not seen my book Relieve. I am I, I am so I won't say I'm surprised actually, maybe because I've not been putting it out on our faces on daily basis. So I am ready to bring it to your face this time around. So, like I said, if you check on my page, you already see Relief there. It's a family guide. Relief is a family guide for every home. Every home needs it. Every home should have it because everybody can read it, irrespective of age, irrespective of who you are in your family. Anybody can read it. If you're 5 years old, can read. Your 5 years old will be able to read it. It is written in simple, very simple English. No need for dictionary to start checking words. Everything is written in very simple English, and it is very interesting. There are so many topics handled there, so I want to touch one or two or three topics from it in this video. So you can go and pick up a copy of the book and read it to understand better. So I want to talk about full I want to talk about financial management for a start. I want to talk about financial management with the situation of the economy, with the situation of our country, Nigeria. Wherever you are, you can see how the country is going. Things are almost becoming unaffordable for us. That's just essentially for the lower income earners. The rich, they are still capable, but how about the lower income earners and the average income earners? So I'm talking about financial management. And when you're talking about financial management, you cannot talk about it without talking about planning. When you talk about financial management, you have to talk a whole lot about planning, and budgeting. When you talk about financial management, you have to talk about your children. Importantly, what have you done to secure the future of your children? If either of the parents is no longer there, what actions, what steps have you taken to secure the future of the children? So this is when investment comes into play, when savings comes into play, so that when in future, if anything happens, not necessarily death, if you are a 9 to 5 person and you lose your job, you can have something to fall back on, and I can still assist you in taking care of your family. Investments, you talk about investments, you also talk about monthly streams of income. Now, then, as regards to family inside the home, when you talk about managing finance and resources, you have to talk about how to curb wastage. It is very important. This is no longer that moment where if you have a family of five and 1 cup of rice can take you, you go to cook 2 cup of rice and the next thing you're disposing the remaining one. No, this is not that time. You have to try as much as possible to know what to do and how to cut out wastage from your home. It is very important. It is not the moment when people will pass by your house and in your gutter, all forms of food are inside your gutter because you are unable to eat it. You cooked and unable to eat and you had to dispose them or your waste or your dustbin. So this is not that moment. You have to try as much as possible to learn how to cut costs, manage your resources that you have to avoid wastage and to make sure to help you gain a level of financial balance. It is very important. When you go into the book, you will see how you see so many ways whereby you can cut expenses and still push the income of the family to enable you have a balance. So when you look at relief, you will see a lot of that. Another thing I want to touch is about sex education. Now, it is almost very difficult. It's very difficult for a lot of parents to discuss about sex education with their children because a lot of parents feel very awkward with discussing that kind of thing with their children, especially mention the original name of body parts with their children. If you go to another chapter of that book, it is well explained, they're well detailed. If you have a 5-year-old child that can read, like I said, when he or she reads about sex education from Relief, they will understand what it is. Even when they come to you with few questions, you'll be able to, but at that time, they are now able to ask you questions with the original names of their body parts, and you'll find it easy or easier to do or to explain to them. That is, if you already find it difficult to mention the body parts, original names of their body parts. That being said, we also need to understand that when you talk about sex education, that there are ages. Everything in sex education has to do with age. That you cannot start telling your 3-year-old or your 4-year-old when you're teaching them sex education about pregnancy. No, they don't need that kind of lecture at that stage of their life. So Relief will guide you on what to teach your child at a particular age. That is one of the things that Relief is there to do for you. It will help you teach, let you know what your child should know at a particular age. It helps you, opens your eyes to that. It exposes you to what you know. Then another part I want to talk about is about teenagers and peer pressure and whatever. So you were once a teen, you were once an adolescent. So there are certain behaviors that your child is displaying now, your teenage children are displaying now or is displaying now, that you're like, why is my child so stubborn? But you're forgetting that there was a time when you were like that. There was a time when you were in that age, maybe not displaying that kind of character, but you know that so many of these actions are triggered by their hormones. Sometimes your teenage children find it very difficult to share their life experiences with you. Now, if you have children that find it difficult to share their experiences with you, probably it is possible that you have not created that room. That kind of communication is not there for them to freely discuss things with you. So maybe you've not created that kind of communication ground for your children to be able to tell you, oh, this is what I am passing through, and try to seek advice from you. So that is one thing. Another thing is that some of them, they find it difficult to even tell their parents what is going on with them. Some don't even want to share their experiences with their parents. It's also like that, not because the parents don't want to listen, but they're not willing to share. So when you open that chapter of Relief, it will help you break down some of those things and help you explain and help you know how to go about it when you are wearing such shoes. Then another thing I want to talk of still about teenagers are them always looking for undue independence. Teenagers will always look for undue independence. At this stage, they always feel that they are now what? They are old enough to decide. They are old enough to take actions. They are old enough to do what they want to do. They want to become independent. Now, ask yourself, why is my teen child that is trying to be independent always falling back on me to support him or her? When they have financial burden, they still have to run back to you. They come back to you. Imagine somebody that wants to answer Miss Independent or Mr. Independent coming back to fall on their parents for support. So that's just it. There are so many things about teenagers, and there are so many ways in Relief where you can handle your teenagers. So it helps you break it down. You already experienced some of these things because you were once a teen. So when you look at Relief, it will show you some ways where you can assist your children, especially creating a room or a space for there to be what? Communication between you and your teenagers. There should be a room for that. So one other thing I want to talk about before I go, it's not in my book, but I'm just going to share that with us for the next few minutes, is something I called friendly authority figures, which are in the homes. I want to use parents as a friendly authority figure. As a friendly authority figure in a home, which I also address as parents, it is you're in position to set rules, you're in position to set regulations where you expect your children to follow, be them children or be them teenagers or young adults. You lay down these rules and expect them to follow it. Now, there's one thing. Why are you setting these rules? Why are these rules being set? The reasons why these rules are being set is because you're trying to shape the moral development of your children. That is why rules are set most times in homes. You try as much as possible to shape their moral development. You want to always be proud of your children when they go out. You don't want them to disappoint. You don't want people to rub your name on the mud because of your children. So, and now, if you're doing that thing, if you're trying to shape them, their moral development, you don't do it because, I want to say something, don't do it because people would suck. Now, I want you to do it because it is the right thing to do. Definitely, if you don't do it right, people will definitely talk. But I want you to have it at the back of your mind that it is the right thing to do. You have to try as much as possible to set rules that's going to shape their moral development. Now, it doesn't end there. You need to understand that when you have rules that shape their moral development, your children, as they transition from childhood, as they enter, become teenagers and grow into young adults and older adults, there's one thing. When they are still young children, they will naturally keep your rules accordingly because you have set that place, you have set the home like that. Like I said, it's a friendly authority figure. I call it friendly authority figure because you have to use a friendly approach. Don't be an abuser, emotionally or physically. Don't be an abuser. Use a very friendly approach. You're not their friend, you are their parent. That is who you are. But then, even as a parent, you have to play some roles that friends do play in the life of an individual. You have to support them, you have to encourage them. That's just the thing. So, you become a friend within your own self. They don't need to see you as their friend. They don't need to see you as their friend, but you have to use a friendly approach. That's what I'm trying to say. So that being said, always remember that your children would not keeping your rules like that. As they transition from childhood to adulthood, teenage to adulthood, there's going to be a change. When they are still children, when they are still babies, they keep your rules according to the way you set them. And it is at that point that you take decisions for them. At that stage, you take decisions for your children. But immediately they start transitioning into the adolescence, your rules are there, yes. Now, they will keep some and they will flaunt some. They've, they they are expected to keep your rules, yes. But now, like I said, their hormones take a better part of their life. So there are some others that will be flouted. So they don't do everything 100% as they have doing right from childhood. There is a change. The change comes in. In their childhood, you make decisions for them and they stick to your decision. But now they are teenagers. They decide. You decide and they bring it. Well, even when you decide, they don't take your decision like that. They let you talk and they bring in their own. Collectively, you reach an agreement and you work with it. So it is not your sole decision to make when they become teenagers any longer. There is now a shift. Then when they eventually become an adult, when they become an adult and live outside your house, your rules and your regulation becomes optional to them. It becomes optional. They may decide to keep it or not. So if you have properly shaped their moral development if you have done it properly and your rules are very welcoming, even in adulthood, you will see that they will still keep it. No matter where they go to, they still keep it. But if you're unable to shape their moral development, they will, when they become adults and when they have left your house, they just drop it. It is easy for them to drop it when they are outside your house compared to when they are still inside your house, living under your roof, being fed or doing one thing or the other. But once they step out, your rules and your regulation becomes what's optional. It's no longer compulsory for them. And at that point, they make the sole decision. You're no longer in place to make decision for them. So we need to understand these stages. You see yourself as a authority figure in your home, but in all you do, make it friendly. You're not their friend, but use a friendly approach. Be there for them, support them, encourage them, play your part. Please, that being said, I am begging you, please try as much as possible to grab a copy of Relieve, the family guide for every single home. It will help you. There are so many things I know that you know as parents already, but there are so many things it will still open your eyes to that you do not know. Please try as much as possible to get just one copy for your family. Buy it and give it to somebody. Let it be your Valentine gift to somebody. Please just get one copy for yourself, one copy for another person for 4,000 naira per copy. And I made another post talking about going to schools for workshop. Please, like I said, if you are able to get 30 copies of that book at a discounted price of 3,000 naira each, that's 90,000 naira for 30 copies, you have a free slot to tell us to go to this school and host this workshop, and we'll do it for free. That is what you stand to gain for purchasing 30 copies of Relief at the discounted price of 3,000 naira. We go to those schools and have a workshop with them. The workshop is already titled, and we have so many topics that we want to discuss with them. There's peer pressure, there's life after class. It's called Tomorrow Ready. The workshop is titled Tomorrow Ready because we're trying as much as possible to shift our teenagers. We want to shift their attention out of scam. If you go to a classroom now of 30 teenagers, the truth is over 50% of them believe in the fast ways to make money. We need to correct those things. We need to correct those impressions, and you can only do that by supporting us. Help us get to those schools. Help us get to those schools. Pick up 30 copies of Relief at a discounted price of 3,000 naira each. 90,000 naira for 30 copies, and the copies will be distributed to the school if you want. Is it your school you graduated from, your secondary or primary school? Just send us to that school by getting 30 copies for 3,000 naira each, and we'll gladly be in the school with your name as the sponsor of the workshop. Thank you very much, and see you in my next video as you pick up a copy of Relief. Thank you so much.